Hello, welcome to Dungeon Controllers Podcast. I'm Real Justin. Sorry, pro- the the program lagged a little bit. This is another DC Comics review. This time I reviewed Batman Detective Comics issue 438. I picked this up recently in a comic book haul video. Um, what makes this book special? It has 100 pages, which is a lie, by the way. the last story in this book ends at like 95, and there's only like two other pages after that. So thanks for the lie, DC. Which yeah, this is a Batman Detective Comics book. It includes 6 stories. At first, I thought it was going to be a Batman book featuring like all these different characters at the bottom, which is Green Lantern, the Silver Age version, Hal Jordan, the Atom, Ray Palmer, the all-new Manhunter, not the Manhunter who's like the Green Lantern villains. It's like he's like this karate guy. He's like this ninja. And you also have Robin Hawkman, which the Robin story was basically just like Batman and Robin together. Sorry, Batman and Robin written by Bill Finger with art by Bob Kane and some other dude. Which the first story, well, this book was kind of random because it's like it's like at first you think it's going to be Halloween themed. Uh oh. I guess at some point while reading this, I had ripped the cover, which I kind of already ripped the back cover. Now I ripped the front cover. Oh, that sucks. And I paid $18 for this book, so you know the value just went down. The value just went down by a lot. Which the first story. This is why. This is after this. This is a lot. After my Captain Marvel issue 8 review, that this is going to be the last time I review a comic. The first story is A Monster Walks Wayne Manor, which is like kind of like a Halloween story. It's by Archie Goodwin and Jim Aparo, the artist, which this book came out in 1973, by the way. Which that story was like 14 issues. The next one is The Atom by Gardner Fox, who wrote a couple of the books in this, stories in this book, with art by Gil Kane and Sid Green. The Atom teams up with Satana. The third story is a Hawkman book. Let me get to it. Hawkman, The Man Who Saved the World by Gardner Fox and art by Joe Kubert. I wonder if there's a relation with Adam and Adam Kubert, and what's the other Kubert's name? I can't remember. I can't remember his brother. Yeah. The third story is Batman and Robin, the Boy Wonder, Gotham Gang Lineup by Bill Finger with art by Bob Kane and Joe Grella. Which that story had like 1930s feel to it. Apparently, I don't know if it's like a reprint, but it ends with I'll talk about it in my review. The story after that is Green Lantern, The House That Fought Green Lantern, which is very similar to the first story in this book, also by Gardner Fox, which wrote two stories so far. Art by Gil Kane and Joe Gilla. Which Gil Kane is the son of Bob Kane, by the way. Pretty sure. And the last story is Manhunter. He stalks the world's most dangerous game. I think this is his first appearance. I'm not 100% sure. Written by Archie Goodwin, an artist, I can't read the name. Because it looks like it's Simon Sond? I don't know what that is. It looks like Simon. I don't know, man. Which, I ripped the cover, by the way. Shit. Shit, that sucks. This was 18. That was $18, by the way. I think this is a first appearance of Manhunter. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, it is what it is. You know, you always got, when handling old books, you gotta be really careful. Yeah, what can you do? So the first story was pretty cool. It's basically Batman Bruce Wayne's mansion appears to be haunted, and like, Bruce Wayne is getting interviewed by paparazzi. Some kind of creature attacked Alfred and the manor, right? And like, you know, Bruce Wayne was away fighting crime, and he comes back, and he decides to he hears some stories about something about smugglers accidentally bringing a ghost back from overseas or something. So he decides to hire, as Bruce Wayne, he decides to hire like a paranormal expert. It turns out to be some doctor who was investigating Ra's al Ghul's Lazarus Pit, which in the previous issue, Ra's al Ghul doxed Batman as Bruce Wayne. So, like, you know, Ra's al Ghul's henchmen also know who Batman is, and it turns out the monster that broke into the Wayne estate was actually Ubu. Sorry, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's like spelled U-B-U. Who was injured in like a fight or something when Batman fought Ra's al Ghul, and is contaminated with the waters of the Lazarus Pit. So now he's this glowing monster, and like, you know, the scientist guy who was LARPing as a paranormal expert is there to capture Ubu, sorry, however you pronounce it. And it ends with Batman killing Ubu by kicking him into a pile of jagged sticks in the basement, which he gets impaled in, right? Like stakes and stuff. And the narrator covers up Batman's crime as, oh, the monster impaled himself onto these like broken stakes, right? Wooden beams or whatever. Batman had nothing to do with it, even though we saw him kick Ubu down the stairs and get impaled by these stakes. So the second issue is like an Atom book, which the Atom in this issue, that story was I think the longest, because it starts off with the Atom getting called in. Atom being scientist Ray Palmer, whose special powers are, he has a special suit which is made from white dwarf matter, which allows him to change size, kind of like Ant-Man. And the way he fights is exactly like Ant-Man, where he makes himself really small and he's able to control his weight. So like when he punches you with the force of a 100-pound man. And he's able to, despite having the teleportation trick where he calls you and he rides the telephone lines to people's houses, right? He can also fly by making himself weightless and riding wind currents, which I thought, you know, what's the point when you can teleport? But you know, he needs to be able to call someone and have them answer the phone. Yeah. So what happens? He goes to chase. He gets a call from the cops to find these bank robbers who somehow got into a bank which was locked, and you see them going through walls and stuff. And it turns out Zatanna, aka the female magician, who's looking for her father Sitara, accidentally did a spell trying to look for her father, somehow made the walls and safe of this bank be able to, like, for people to phase through them, right? Yeah, so like she telepathically uh, tells Ray Palmer where to find the criminals. So after that, she calls him and asks him for his help to get into the world, the microscopic world of this magic book, which belonged to her father. Which inside the book is like this fantasy landscape where there's this wizard in a castle who turned all the inhabitants of this world into orbs, like glowing light orbs, and imprison her father in some like other dimension. So you have like Zatanna and Adam team up to take this wizard down. Which there's even like a cool fight where the wizard spirits away the Adam away and has him fight this flying serpent monster that came to life through this chalice, which the Adam breaks to kill the serpent. Which that was a cool story. I really like that story. Though like not a fan of how Zatanna was drawn. She was drawn kind of like a little ugly-ish when she's supposed to be one of the most attractive female superheroes in the DC world. But overall, I enjoyed that story. The next story is a Hawkman story where Hawkman gets is researching some disc that is getting stolen from his museum by these three what appeared to him to be aliens, but they're actually from a lost civilization of these three humanoids with animal heads. One is kind of like a dog, one is like a cat, and one is a ram, who are trying to shift Earth's orbit closer to the sun, so their lost city will get freed from the Arctic because it got frozen, and they'll also, and while that's going on, they'll be able to kill humanity, right? Which Carter Hall, after getting defeated by the Carter Hall, the Hawkman, after getting defeated by the trio of let's just call them aliens, even though they're technically not aliens. Because they remind me a lot of the animal humanoids from that New Titans book I reviewed, where they pretty much look the same, except those were aliens and this was lost civilization. So after getting defeated by them, he teams up with Hawkgirl, which is his wife Shira, to go after them. Where you see this really cool dogfight in the sky against Hawkman. Hawkgirl against these three animal humanoids in their jets, which Hawkman complains oh man, how am I supposed to defeat these alien fighter jets with our ancient weapons? Which he has a mace on a chain, and she has a Persian axe, which it's dude, you're. It kind of reminds me of RPGs where people roleplay that their characters use certain weapons, and it's even though the fight calls for them to use a different weapon, they just stick with the same weapon because they're roleplaying. Carter Hall's an alien. Why does he feel the need to stick to this theme of using outdated weapons is beyond me. But yeah, they were able to take down these jets, right? By Carter Hall was able to take out two of them by making it so he was right in front of the line of fire of another jet. So when he dodged the fighter jet's lasers, it hit the other guy, and Shira basically just smashed the other guy's wings with her axe, right? So which that was a cool issue. They were able to trick the aliens into telling them how to shut off their machine. Or not shut off their machine, telling them their plan so they can go shut off the machine, and they were able to save the world, right? Is that the last issue? No, the second last issue is a Green Lantern story where Green Lantern Hal Jordan which this story is very similar to the first Batman story in this book, where like he follows this bank robber. He comes back from space, follows this bank robber. Well, at first he stops like, yeah, no. First he helps the cops catch some bank robbers, and it turns out they were a decoy. So he goes back to investigate, which this felt like a detective comic. By the way, he goes to investigate, finds the trail, finds the criminal inside this haunted house, which is not really a haunted house. It was like old recluse rigged the house up with traps and stuff, so it would appear haunted. And he goes in there, and it slams into this old like grandfather clock, trying to catch the criminal. And the criminal disappears. He gets hit with obstacle after obstacle, but like something's interfering with his power ring. Every time he tried to use it, instead of it being like the first time he tried to use it inside the house, he was trying to form giant green hands to catch the robber. He got tiny little hands. Then there's like one time where like debris was falling at him, and he tried to make a giant net to catch it. He got like a small net, and like things like that kept happening. And he was able to. He decides to just fuck it, get out of the house, and see if that. He figures out it's the house screwing up his power ring. It wasn't his. It had nothing to do with his willpower. So like which I gotta say, there was this one trap where he gets caught by this mechanical bear, and how he gets out of it, because his ring keeps making things smaller, right? When he's trying to make giant objects, he decides to use it on himself. He makes himself small to get out of the grizzly bear's, like the robot grizzly bear's like arms. I thought that was fucking dumb. Nowhere did I haven't read like a lot of Green Lantern books, but like I have a lot of trades of Green Lantern. That kind of contradicts what I'm saying. Whatever. I've read like some decent amount of Green Lantern. Not once have I ever seen him shrink himself or shrink other people with the Green Lantern ring. As far as I know, the Green Lantern ring, like besides from doing analyzing stuff, translating languages, and creating like light constructs, as far as I know, the power ring can't shrink people, but he uses it to shrink himself out of that. So I thought that was bullshit. But yeah, he decides to leave the house and just shake up the house with the power ring to make the criminal surrender himself, right? So I thought, besides from that one like nitpick I had, that was a great story. Though I kind of don't get why it couldn't just be ghosts, since ghosts are part of the DC universe. But whatever, it's fine. So like the other two stories are the Batman and Robin one, which I liked, where it was basically about it was basically about Alfred intercepting like a call from Gordon to Batman. But Batman and Robin are away, so Alfred tries to learn as much about this like criminal plot as he can, which is what happens is like these three gangs from the tri-state area are working on a caper together. So Alfred tries to investigate, ends up getting captured. He leaves a note for Batman and Robin before he left. Batman and Robin investigate. They find out where Alfred's holed up, but they get captured as well. So what ends up happening is Alfred and Batman and Robin both escape each of their cages, right? But they both do it like like around the same time. So when they go to check on each other's cages, they're they find them empty, and they assume the other ones were killed, right? Alfred thinks Batman and Robin is dead. Batman and Robin thinks Alfred is dead. So they all go after the criminals, which apparently found an old treasure map, and we're going to dig up buried treasure, right? And the story is kind of dumb because it's like technically you're not committing a crime, but by kidnapping people, it's like, dude, like you're making a crime out of something that didn't have to be a crime, but whatever, right? And what ends up happening is like Alfred dies to save Batman and Robin, and Batman and Robin go to avenge. After seeing Alfred sacrifice himself for them, Batman and Robin go to beat the shit out of the criminals. Which at one point you think it looks like there's a panel where they dig a hole, and the hole that the criminals dug up, they put the criminals in there, and like Batman and Robin using like an excavator, like bury them alive. But apparently they were just burying them long enough for the cops to show up. Which it's like, wow, that panel looks very dark. Oh my god. Right? So like, yeah, after that, after that they get visited by Robin's aunt, who volunteers to be the new caretaker of Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson, sorry. Which Dick Grayson, by the way, it's consistent in the beginning, right, where he's like basically not exactly the same height as Batman, but close. But then like during the funeral scene, they made Dick Grayson look really short, to where he's only his head only reaches up to Bruce Wayne's chest, when earlier panels they made it so it looked like he was about the same height. So I thought that was weird. But yeah, this issue was it's pretty campy, and obviously it's very old school, but I really enjoyed it, right? I thought it was pretty fun. And though I thought their Batman and Robin's way of getting out of the cage was to set up make basically a tripwire to trip up the guards, so they can knock him out and take the keys. I thought that was stupid, really dumb, because Batman takes twine from his sock to make a lasso, and then they just lift it up when the guard walked by, and they knocked him out. Which I thought that was really dumb, but I enjoyed it. So the last issue is basically, it's kind of like Usual Suspects, but with Manhunter, where this chick is an Interpol agent, talking with her superior officer in Zurich, Switzerland, I think, or Sweden, I don't know. It's wherever Zurich is, right? Which she's trying to explain who the Manhunter is, who's this guy called Paul Kirk, who should be dead, who's this master of ninjutsu, martial arts, kills a tiger with a dagger, able to stop assassination plots, whatever. And yeah, I thought this issue was okay. I kind of thought back in the day, I kind of thought the Manhunter's costume was kind of dumb, but seeing it again, I don't know, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. He kind of reminds me of the Jackal from that Bruce Willis and Richard Gere movie. Which, if you haven't seen what was it called? The Jackal, or Day of the Jackal? I don't know. That was a really cool movie, and yeah, it was kind of interesting. Apparently, he fights clones of himself across the globe, which is kind of weird. So it's like, what's his origin story going to be? He's like, he was like I'm guessing, I'm because there's one of the stories is him saving like a geneticist in Brazil from these clones of himself. I think there's gonna be some kind of Boys of Brazil origin story. If you haven't seen that movie, it's basically about well, like for people who don't know, there are German colonies in Brazil, being dated back before World War II. So there's this movie called Boys of Brazil where like some scientist is creating clones of Hitler. So I think maybe they're going for that in this story. I don't know. I'll have to check out more Manhunter books. I know he was in that Janus Directive book that I reviewed some of the issues from the Janus Directive book series in my 80s DC back issue special featuring Checkmate and Suicide Squad. But that Manhunter looked different, and he was wearing like a costume that was reminiscent of the Manhunters from the Green Lantern villains. If you ever seen that, so I think that might be a different character. I'm not sure, but like, that's only 10 years difference, right? But who knows? No, I think Janus Directive was like 89. 88 or 89. I can't remember. But yeah, I don't know. I thought pretty much all the stories were cool. The title, because it says on the front it's a 100-page book. That is a lie. At most, there's like maybe 97, 98, because there's like 2 more pages after that, which is just like some editor reading fan mail or whatever. I didn't read it because I was kind of in a hurry. But overall, I enjoyed this book. And I kind of like that it's an anthology book, and you get to showcase other DC characters, because obviously Batman is the most popular character in DC Comics, so they use him to show off these other characters, which is like Green Lantern Adam, the new Manhunter, and Hawkman. So I don't know why they need to. I don't think there are a lot of Robin fans back in the 1970s. But whatever. I enjoyed the book, and I'm giving it 7 out of 10. Is it worth is it worth paying $18 for this? That I don't know, but I think if you can get it cheaper, it's a cool book. It's almost like a mini trade, because you're getting a lot of read, man. This took me like 3 days to read. Yeah. So my next review. Sorry this was so long. But my next review is going to be Punisher and Bullseye Deadliest Hits, which just collects Punisher Trial of the Punisher issues 1 through 2, Bullseye Perfect Game 1 and 2, and material from 1998, Daredevil's issue 500. So I don't know. This looks like it could be cool. Yeah, I was gonna talk about if this video wasn't so long. I was going to talk about how I was talking to one of my subscribers about my comic book haul videos, and how I'm thinking of changing it to instead of like doing a podcast format, I would actually shoot a video, which I used. I used an old camera, another old camera I had, but the new problem now, which the audio worked, the video worked. But the new problem now is that I have to download this app for me to even access the files on the thing, instead of just me connecting a USB USB cable onto my computer. So I decided, screw it. Next time I get paid, right? Next time I get paid at my job, which should be like next week, I think, if I'm lucky. I don't know, man. It should be next week. I'm gonna take some of that money and go buy like a digital camera. I was looking at local stores. You can buy like a digital camera for like $100 to $200. Though some of them were like $4,000. It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna spend $4,000, guys. So yeah, I'll try to get like a nice $200 camera for you guys. All right, guys, peace.